Hello, everyone, and welcome to English Pod. My name is Marco.
I'm Amira.
Hey, Amira, how are you today?
I'm doing great. What about you?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm excited about this lesson that you have for us today.
Yes, it's actually a very, very useful lesson. It's about someone asking his boss for an assistant.
Oh, okay, an assistant. What's an assistant?
Well, it's someone who helps you with your work around the office.
Okay, great. So let's listen to this dialogue, and when we come back, we'll take a look at all the interesting and useful vocabulary that you'll find.
Like I told you before, we just don't have the resources to hire you an assistant.
I understand that, but the fact is, we're understaffed.
The timing is just not right. The economy's bad, and it's too risky to take on new staff.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Here's an idea. What if we hire an intern? She would take some of the weight off my shoulders.
She?
Yeah, you know, a recent graduate. She could give me a hand with some of these projects, and we could keep our costs down.
That sounds reasonable. Let me see what I can do. Tony, I'd like to introduce you to your new assistant.
Okay, great. Let's meet her.
Hi, I'm Adam.
Oh, hi, I'm Tony.
And we're back. Tony, he's surprised, huh?
Yeah, he's, I don't know why, though, he's surprised. I think we should talk about that a little bit later.
Yes, for now, let's look at some interesting vocabulary and phrases here. Marco, I know you've chosen one for us.
Yeah, the first one that I want to take a look at is resources.
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 And that means, in this text, basically money.
Right.
So the office doesn't have enough money.
Okay. I've chosen another interesting word for you, and that's understaffed.
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 Now, understaffed means that they don't have enough people working there.
They don't have enough workers.
Right. They don't have enough employees.
Perfect. Okay. The next one is timing is just not right.
The timing is just not right.
The timing is just not right.
The timing is just not right.
Okay, let's listen to how we can use this entire phrase in a different situation so then we can understand what it means. Let's listen.
I was going to sell my house, but the timing is just not right. Honey, I think we should have a baby.
The timing is just not right.
Okay, great. I guess that makes it clear.
Yes, actually, it's very obvious that it means that it's just not a good time.
Right. Perfect.
Yeah. I have another interesting phrase for you, which is weight off my shoulders.
Weight off my shoulders.
Weight off my shoulders.
Weight off my shoulders.
So, to take weight off my shoulders is another way of saying to help me with my work or to take some of my work away from me.
If you have a lot of things to do and I come and help you, that means that I took some of the weight off your shoulders.
Yes.
Let's look at the next phrase that we have here, and it's give me a hand.
Give me a hand.
Give me a hand.
Give me a hand.
Okay, now this is not literal. It's not that I'm gonna give you somebody's hand, right? Let's listen to some examples and then we can come back and explain what it means.
Can you give me a hand with these boxes?
Neil, I'll need you to give me a hand with the sales reports.
Here, let me give you a hand with your suitcase.
All right. Give me a hand is another way of saying help or to help out.
Exactly, to help out.
Right.
Perfect.
Now, the last phrase we're going to look at here in this dialogue is keep our costs down.
Keep our costs down.
Keep our costs down.
Keep our costs down.
So to keep our costs down means to try and not spend so much money.
Exactly. Many companies, for example, now control how much printing you do,
Yes.
right? To keep
yes.
the costs down of paper.
Yeah, so in other words, they do not want to have unnecessary spending.
Perfect. Okay, I think it's time for us to listen to this dialogue one more time, but I want everyone to listen and see why Tony is surprised at the end when he meets his intern, when he meets his assistant.
Welcome, everyone, to another warm, inspiring, and relaxing episode of English Fluent Zone. My name is Liana, and I'm so happy you're here with us today.
And I'm Luca, feeling excited because today's topic is something almost all learners, workers, and even students can relate to. It's a topic that brings calm, clarity, and motivation, needing an assistant, someone to help when life becomes too busy.
Exactly. And we want to explore this topic in a way that helps every English learner improve, not just vocabulary, but also confidence. You know, many people feel shy asking for help, especially in English. But today's dialogue is here to change that.
Right. Sometimes you have too many tasks, too many responsibilities, and you feel overwhelmed. That word overwhelmed means you have more work or stress than you can handle. And in those moments, asking for an assistant can make your life so much easier.
And it's not just about office jobs. Even in daily life, having assistance or support can take a big weight off your shoulders. That expression, a weight off your shoulders, means something becomes easier, lighter, less stressful.
So today, we're going to explore this in a natural conversation between us. We'll talk about assistance in the workplace, useful expressions for asking for help, cultural tips about work environments, and phrases you can use in real conversations. Ready?
Absolutely ready. And Luca, I want to begin with something personal. Lately, I've been juggling many projects, editing scripts, preparing lessons, replying to messages, and organizing new ideas for the channel. It's wonderful, but it's a lot. Sometimes I feel like I need an extra pair of hands.
I completely understand that. An extra pair of hands is another nice expression meaning you need help. And honestly, when someone reaches the point where work starts slowing them down or stressing them out, it might be the perfect time to consider getting an assistant.
But here's the challenge. Many people hesitate to ask for help because they feel guilty or afraid of sounding demanding. I used to feel that way too. But the truth is, asking for help is a sign of strength, not weakness.
Exactly. And in many workplaces, especially in English-speaking countries, asking for support is completely normal. Managers often expect employees to communicate when they need help. It shows responsibility and good communication.
Speaking of workplaces, imagine a situation where someone walks into their boss's office and calmly explains their workload. Something like, "I've been handling many projects recently, and I'm finding it difficult to keep up. I think having an assistant would help me stay productive."
That's a beautiful example. Polite, clear, professional. And it uses the structure, "I think would help," which is an easy and powerful way to request support.
And here's a grammar tip for our listeners. When talking about tasks or responsibilities, we often use gerunds, the ing form. For example, handling tasks, managing schedules, organizing documents. These forms make you sound more fluent and natural.
Yes, and if you want to sound especially polite, use softening phrases like, "Would it be possible?" "I was wondering if," "Do you think we could?" These phrases are perfect for workplace communication.
You know, Luca, when people think about assistants, they imagine someone who solves everything. But an assistant doesn't have to be a full-time employee. It can be an intern, a part-time helper, or even a digital assistant.
Right. And an intern is usually a student or recent graduate learning through real work experience. Many companies hire interns to help with daily tasks while giving them training and opportunities. It's useful for both sides.
Another cultural note, in some countries, companies, people prefer hiring interns because it keeps costs down, meaning it helps save money. That phrase, keep costs down, is great for business conversations.
And when you're deciding whether to hire someone, timing matters a lot. Sometimes a company may say the timing isn't right, which means it's not the best moment to make that decision.
Yes, maybe the company doesn't have enough resources, meaning money, staff, or time, or maybe the economy is not stable. All of these affect the decision.
But when you really need support, one good idea can open the door. For example, suggesting an intern or even asking for part-time support can make things more reasonable, more logical, and easier to accept.
One thing I love telling our learners is this. Asking for help is not a sign that you're weak. It's a sign that you care about doing things well.
So true. And when you finally get that help, life suddenly feels manageable again. Work becomes smoother and your energy returns. That's why learning the right expressions is so important.
Before we end this part, let me share a few very useful phrases our listeners can practice. Could you give me a hand with? I need some assistance with. I'm feeling a bit overloaded. I'd appreciate some support.
And all of these can be used in everyday life, not just at work.
Absolutely. Whether you're asking for help carrying boxes, studying, managing tasks, or organizing your home, these expressions fit perfectly.
And with that, we've set the stage for exploring this topic deeply and helpfully.
Yes, and I hope our listeners already feel more confident about asking for help when they need it.
You know, Liana, when people talk about needing an assistant, they often imagine a big office, a busy manager, and piles of paperwork. But the truth is, this situation can happen to anyone, even students, freelancers, or people running small businesses from home. When your tasks grow and your time shrinks, having support becomes almost essential.
That's so true, Luca. And many learners listening right now might feel the same way. Maybe someone is studying English, working a job, taking care of family, and trying to build new skills at the same time. At some point, everything begins to feel like too much. In English, we often call this feeling being stretched too thin, meaning you're trying to do more than you realistically can.
Yes, that's a great expression. And here's another one, to be swamped with work. It simply means you're extremely busy. For example, I'm swamped with emails today, or she's swamped with assignments. These expressions sound very natural and are used all the time in real conversations.
And when you feel swamped, having someone to support you can make a world of difference. Even simple tasks like organizing your schedule or preparing documents can become easier. But before asking for an assistant, you must understand clearly what kind of help you need. That's something many people forget.
Exactly. Some people just say, I need help, but they don't explain what they need help with. In English, being specific makes your request stronger and more professional. For example, instead of saying, I need an assistant, you can say, I need someone to help me coordinate meetings and manage project deadlines.
Perfect example. And it makes you sound confident and organized. Here's a useful structure English learners can practice. I need someone who can help me with. Then add your tasks, emails, planning, research, organizing files, managing appointments.
Another helpful structure is, I'm looking for support in. This sounds polite, formal, and ideal for workplace communication.
Yes, and speaking of polite language, English uses something called softeners, words that make your sentence sound kind and gentle. For example,
maybe we could. Do you think it might be possible to? I was wondering if we could consider. These phrases are like magic. They turn a strong request into a friendly one. And when you're asking for an assistant, tone matters. People respond better when the request feels respectful and calm.
You know, Luca, I think sometimes people misunderstand assistants. They imagine someone who does all the boring jobs or only small tasks, but that's not true. A good assistant brings clarity, organization, and even new ideas. They don't just help, they improve your workflow.
Absolutely. And assistants also learn a lot, especially interns. Many interns begin with simple tasks, but as they grow, they handle bigger responsibilities. It's a great way for them to gain experience and confidence.
Speaking of interns, there's an interesting cultural note. In many countries, internships are common and highly encouraged, but in others, they're still new or misunderstood. Some people think interns only make coffee or photocopy papers, but in modern workplaces, interns often work on real projects.
That's right. And interns usually benefit in two big ways. One, they gain real-world experience. Two, they build a professional network, meaning connections with people who can help them in their careers.
And when someone suggests hiring an intern, it's usually because it's more affordable than hiring full-time staff. This is when business expressions become useful, like to keep costs down, to reduce expenses, to stay within the budget.
Yes, companies often worry about money. They may say, we don't have enough resources right now, which means they don't have enough money, time, or workers.
And sometimes they say, the timing isn't right, which means this moment is not good for hiring or making big decisions.
Exactly. But even when companies are careful, they still want their employees to be productive. So if you show that an assistant will help you work better and faster, the idea becomes more reasonable.
Yes, and here's a great expression learners should know. That sounds reasonable. It means something makes sense and feels fair. People use it a lot at work when they agree with a suggestion.
Yes, and here's another expression that fits perfectly: to take some weight off my shoulders. This means someone helps reduce your stress or workload. For example, having an assistant would take some weight off my shoulders.
That's a very powerful phrase, and it shows exactly how important support can be. Because when your responsibilities are shared, your mind becomes lighter and your creativity becomes stronger.
I love that idea. When you're not stressed, you become more open to inspiration. And learning English also becomes easier when your mind is clear.
Exactly. And because of that, asking for support is not a sign of weakness. It's actually a smart strategy. Many successful people hire assistants the moment they realize they're doing too much.
And you know what? Even English learners can have their own assistant. Maybe not a real person, but tools, apps, or routines that help them study better. Something like a study partner, a reminder system, or an organized notebook.
That's a beautiful point. Sometimes your assistant is simply a method that keeps you consistent, because consistency is the key to learning.
Yes, and once learners understand the importance of support, they become more confident in asking for help when they need it. And that's one of the best skills anyone can develop in life.
Luca, something interesting happens when people start talking about assistants. Many imagine they need someone perfect, someone who knows everything, can do everything, and never makes mistakes. But in reality, an assistant doesn't need to be perfect. They just need to be supportive, responsible, and willing to learn.
Exactly. And that's such an important idea for our listeners. When people look for help, they often expect too much and forget that learning takes time. Even assistants need training, guidance, and patience. In English, we call this setting realistic expectations, meaning understanding what is reasonable and possible.
I love that phrase, realistic expectations. It helps people stay calm and positive. And here's another helpful expression, learning curve. When someone is new to a job, they need time to understand how everything works. That period is called the learning curve. So you might say, there's a learning curve, but my assistant is improving quickly.
Yes, and that makes you sound supportive and professional. Another thing I want to talk about is communication. Many people ask for help, but they don't communicate clearly. They assume the assistant magically knows what to do. But an assistant isn't a mind reader. You must explain things step by step.
And that's where English learners can use very practical phrases such as, let me walk you through this, meaning let me explain step by step. Here's what I need you to do. Could you handle this task for me? Please let me know if anything is unclear.
These are extremely useful, not only at work, but also for everyday communication. And speaking of clarity, there's a skill people often forget, Delegation. Delegation is when you give part of your work to someone else so you can focus on more important tasks.
Delegation is powerful. Many people are afraid to delegate because they think it's easier if I do it myself. But that mindset leads to burnout, feeling extremely tired and stressed because of too much work.
Yes, burnout is very real. And when someone feels burned out, their creativity, energy, and motivation disappear. That's why having help is not a luxury, it's a necessity. And English learners can use this simple sentence, I want to avoid burnout, so I need some support.
Beautifully said. And when you delegate something, you show trust. You give someone the chance to grow, to learn, and to feel useful. Assistants often appreciate that because it makes them feel valued.
Exactly. In many workplaces, feeling valued is just as important as receiving a salary. And when assistants feel respected, they perform better. Respect is the secret ingredient in every successful teamwork.
Luca, this reminds me of something very important for our listeners, tone of voice. When you talk to an assistant, the way you speak can motivate or discourage them. Even simple phrases become powerful when your tone is warm and encouraging. For example, great job. Thanks for your help. I appreciate your effort. These phrases build confidence.
Absolutely. And here's a cultural tip. In English-speaking workplaces, people say thank you very often, even for small tasks. It's part of maintaining a positive and friendly atmosphere. For example, thanks for sending that email. Thanks for organizing the files. Thanks for being on time.
Yes, and listeners, you can practice this habit too. The more you use polite expressions, the more natural your English becomes. It's a small thing with a big impact.
Now, let's talk about something practical. What tasks an assistant can handle. Because many people imagine big things, but assistants often begin with simple tasks like organizing calendars, answering emails, preparing documents, taking notes during meetings, collecting information, helping with scheduling.
And these small tasks often save a huge amount of time. Sometimes the smallest help creates the biggest difference. Here's a nice idiom learners can use. Every little bit helps. It means even small assistance can make your day easier.
That's one of my favorite idioms. It's simple, kind, and very natural. And when someone hears it, they feel appreciated.
You know, Luca, sometimes people worry about hiring assistants because they think it makes them look weak. But actually, leaders who understand the value of help are usually the strongest ones. They know how to use time wisely. Here's another beautiful phrase. Work smarter, not harder.
Exactly. If an assistant helps you work smarter, then your productivity increases and your stress decreases. And English learners can practice saying, an assistant would help me stay organized and focused. It's a very practical and natural sentence.
And I think our listeners should remember this. Asking for help shows maturity. It shows that you care about quality, efficiency, and balance. No one succeeds alone. Everyone needs support at some point.
And when you finally get the right assistant, something wonderful happens. Your time becomes more flexible, your ideas become clearer, and your energy rises. You feel lighter, calmer, more creative. It's like opening a window and letting fresh air in.
That's such a beautiful image, Luca, and it's exactly what learning English also feels like, opening the window to new possibilities. Luca, something I find truly fascinating is how much confidence people gain the moment they have even a small amount of support. When you're doing everything alone, your mind feels crowded, but when someone shares the workload, suddenly everything feels lighter. It's like your brain finally has space to breathe, think clearly, and create new ideas. And that's one of the greatest gifts an assistant brings, mental space.
That's beautifully said, Liana. And you're right. People often underestimate how heavy small responsibilities can feel when they all pile up together. A simple task like sending emails or organizing a schedule sounds easy, but when it's added on top of 10 other tasks, it becomes overwhelming. That's why one of my favorite expressions in English is to lighten the load. It means to reduce pressure or responsibility so life becomes easier.
An assistant absolutely lightens the load.
They really do. And something interesting for learners is how this idea appears in everyday English. For example, people say things like, "This helps me stay on top of things. It keeps everything under control. It makes my day run more smoothly." These expressions are common and very natural when talking about help or organization.
Yes, and stay on top of things is especially useful. It means to be organized, aware, and in control of your tasks. Many people struggle because they're constantly trying to catch up, but with the right assistance, they stay ahead instead of behind.
And that's not just about work. It applies to studying too. Imagine a student learning English alone. They manage lessons, vocabulary lists, listening practice, grammar exercises. Sometimes it feels like climbing a hill with a heavy backpack. But if someone helps organize a study schedule or explains difficult parts, the process becomes smoother.
Right, and that brings us to another powerful idea, guidance. Guidance means someone giving you direction, advice, or structure. An assistant can guide you through tasks, but you can also guide an assistant. It's a relationship of learning and teaching, supporting each other.
Exactly, and guidance builds trust. I remember reading about a manager who said, "My assistant is the engine behind my productivity." That's such a strong statement. It shows how powerful teamwork can be when people understand each other.
You just said something important, teamwork. Having an assistant is not about giving orders. It's about creating partnership. You work together toward a common goal. English learners can use expressions like, "Let's coordinate on this." "Let's work through it together." "We can divide the tasks." These phrases show cooperation instead of authority.
Yes, and cooperation creates harmony. You know, Luca, something many people don't realize is how much energy is saved when tasks are shared. When someone else handles the small things, you can focus on the big things, the ideas, decisions, and creativity that truly matter.
That's so true. And this is something English learners can apply to their own lives. If they can delegate small tasks, not necessarily to a person, but to tools or routines, they free up mental energy to focus on learning. For example, setting reminders, creating simple study systems, or using apps can act as a digital assistant.
Yes, a digital assistant can be just as valuable, especially for learners who can't hire someone. Even organizing your notes in clear folders, keeping a vocabulary list, or creating a weekly study plan can feel like having an assistant. It takes pressure off your mind.
Speaking of pressure, here's a great expression people love in English. "I feel like I'm drowning in work." It doesn't mean real drowning, it means feeling overwhelmed by too many responsibilities. When someone feels that way, the best solution is to get help before stress becomes too heavy.
And help doesn't always mean hiring someone. It can mean asking a colleague, a friend, a family member, or even a classmate. Many learners hesitate to ask for help because of pride or fear of bothering others. But asking for help is one of the strongest things a person can do. It shows courage and self-awareness.
Exactly. And there's a beautiful English expression that describes this perfectly. No one is an island. It means no one can succeed alone. Everyone needs connection, support, and teamwork.
I love that expression. And another one that fits well is, "Two heads are better than one." It means when two people work together, the result is often better than working alone. And that's the whole point of having an assistant. Teamwork creates better results.
Yes, and let's talk about something very practical now, communication skills. When you work with an assistant, clear communication becomes the foundation of everything. English learners can practice these useful and polite phrases. "Could you double-check this for me?" "Please let me know when this is done." "I appreciate your help with this." "Here's what I'd like you to focus on today."
These phrases help create a calm, professional atmosphere, and calmness is extremely important. Assistants work best when they feel respected and supported. Encouraging words go a long way.
Definitely. And another thing learners should understand is the idea of mutual benefit. A good assistant doesn't just help you, they also gain experience, confidence, and practical skills. Interns especially grow quickly because they learn by doing.
Yes, and many interns later become full employees because they learned the job well. This is why offering guidance and kindness is powerful. A motivated assistant becomes an excellent partner.
Let's share a few very useful business expressions before we wrap up this part. We're short-staffed. Not enough people. We need additional support. This will improve our efficiency. It will help us stay organized. It reduces our workload.
These expressions are common in English-speaking offices. I love those. They are easy to learn, practical, and very natural. And learners can use them to sound confident when asking for help or explaining why help is necessary.
Yes, and the beauty of this topic is that it teaches more than vocabulary. It teaches life skills, communication, organization, leadership, teamwork, and the courage to ask for support.
And I think that's one of the reasons this topic is so meaningful. When people understand the value of help, they become stronger, not weaker. They grow, they improve, they become more peaceful and more productive.
And ultimately, that's what learning English is all about. Growing, improving, and becoming a stronger version of yourself. You know, Liana, one thing people often forget when thinking about getting an assistant is how much emotional relief it brings. It's not only about finishing tasks faster, it's about having someone beside you, someone who shares the mental pressure. When you no longer carry everything alone, you suddenly feel lighter, calmer, and more balanced. It's almost like having a supportive teammate cheering you on.
Absolutely, Luca, and emotional support is a huge part of this. Many people think assistants only do practical work, like answering emails or scheduling meetings, but sometimes their presence alone gives comfort. You feel more confident knowing someone is there to help when things become stressful. In English, there's a lovely expression for this, a reassuring presence. It means someone makes you feel calm simply by being there.
Yes, and that kind of support can change the whole atmosphere of a workplace or even a home office. When there's someone to help, tension decreases and productivity increases. People communicate better, ideas flow more naturally, and decisions become easier to make. It's like removing a heavy cloud from the sky.
I love that image, and I think our listeners can relate to it because many of them study English alone. But imagine if they had a study assistant, someone who reminds them to practice, checks their progress, or helps explain something difficult. Learning would suddenly feel less lonely.
Exactly. And by the way, listeners, there's a beautiful English phrase you can use when talking about this kind of emotional help. It takes the pressure off. It means the support makes you feel less stressed, less worried, and more comfortable.
That's a very natural phrase, and it fits perfectly with workplace conversations too. Saying having an assistant would really take the pressure off is professional, polite, and clear. It explains the emotional side of needing help without sounding dramatic.
Speaking of polite, here are some very useful expressions learners can use when requesting help in a kind and respectful way. I'd really appreciate your support on this. Would you mind helping me with this task? If you're available, could you give me a hand? Your assistance would make a big difference. These sentences sound warm, friendly, and natural.
They do, and using them helps create a positive relationship between the assistant and the person they support. And that brings us to another important element, trust. Trust is the foundation of every strong working relationship. Without trust, even the best assistant cannot help effectively.
True. Trust means being honest, open, and clear. It means giving your assistant enough information to do their job and believing in their ability to handle tasks. Here's a useful workplace phrase. I trust your judgment. It means you believe the person can make good decisions. That simple sentence can boost someone's confidence instantly.
Yes, and when people feel trusted, they work more confidently. They take initiative, which means they act without waiting for instructions. And an assistant who takes initiative is incredibly valuable. They don't just follow orders, they observe, think, and help solve problems.
That's such an important point, and learners can use this phrase, thank you for taking initiative. It's a great way to show appreciation when someone chooses to help without being asked.
Appreciation itself is a powerful tool. When you appreciate your assistant, the working environment becomes warm and positive. Simple phrases like, I really value your help. You're doing an excellent job.
Thanks for taking care of that. Create motivation.
Exactly. Encouragement builds teamwork, and teamwork builds success. You know, Liana, sometimes small words create big results. A simple thank you can turn someone's whole day around.
Very true. And as we talk more about assistance, we begin to understand something deeper. Needing help is natural. Humans are not designed to do everything alone. That's why support systems exist. Assistants, colleagues, mentors, friends, all these people play a role in our success.
And you said something important, success. Many successful people are not successful because they work alone. They are successful because they ask for help at the right time. They build teams, they share responsibilities, and focus on what truly matters.
Yes, and English learners can apply this idea too. Instead of trying to memorize everything alone, they can use tools, tutors, study partners, or even habits that act like assistants. They can organize their day, break tasks into smaller pieces, and focus on progress instead of perfection.
That's such a powerful mindset. The phrase progress, not perfection, is something every learner should remember. And an assistant, whether real or symbolic, helps support that progress.
Let's also talk about communication again, because communication with an assistant teaches you how to express needs clearly. For example, using phrases like, "Here's the priority today. Let's focus on this first. Could you update me when it's done?" These help you stay organized and guide the process smoothly.
Yes, and that's a beautiful skill to develop, the ability to express priorities. Many people struggle because they treat everything as urgent. But with an assistant, you learn to slow down, choose what's important, and focus on what truly matters.
And that helps you grow, both personally and professionally. Having support teaches you leadership, patience, communication, and empathy. These are skills that make life easier and more meaningful.
And the best part? When you learn how to guide an assistant, you also learn how to guide yourself better. It's like training your own mind to be organized, calm, and focused.
That's a wonderful insight. And it shows that the idea of needing an assistant isn't just about work. It's about becoming the best version of yourself through support, teamwork, and understanding. Luca, something I really want to highlight today is how having an assistant teaches you about balance. In life, balance is everything. Balancing work and rest, goals and reality, responsibilities and personal time. When people try to manage too much alone, the balance disappears. But the moment support enters the picture, everything begins to feel aligned again.
That's so true, Liana. Imbalance is something many people struggle with, especially in busy workplaces or during stressful times. An assistant helps bring structure to chaos. Actually, here's a useful expression for our listeners: to bring order to chaos. It means to organize something that was previously messy, stressful, or confusing. A good assistant often does exactly that.
I love that expression, and it's very true. Assistants don't just complete tasks, they create clarity. They help you see what matters and what can wait. And that is so valuable in English learning environments too. When things feel overwhelming, clarity becomes the key to progress.
Speaking of clarity, let's talk about something very practical: setting priorities. Many people struggle not because they have too much work, but because they don't know which tasks are most important. An assistant can help you create a clear list of priorities, which reduces stress and increases productivity.
Yes, and learners can use expressions like, "Let's prioritize this. This task comes first. We'll handle the rest afterward." These phrases help you sound organized and professional, and they're perfect for workplace communication.
Another great skill assistants help with is time management. When someone helps break your tasks into smaller steps, everything becomes easier. Time feels more manageable, you stop feeling rushed. And speaking of feeling rushed, here's another natural English expression: I'm pressed for time. It means you're in a hurry or you don't have much time to finish everything.
That's a great one, and an assistant helps reduce that pressure. When someone takes care of smaller tasks, you suddenly feel less pressed for time. Instead, you feel more present and focused. And feeling present is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself.
Exactly. Being present means being fully in the moment. Assistants allow that by removing distractions and helping you stay centered. And English learners can also practice mindfulness with their learning, focusing on one task at a time instead of trying to learn everything at once.
That's an excellent point. Learning English, like managing work, becomes easier when you break it into smaller steps. For example, learning 5 new words a day instead of 50, or practicing 10 minutes of listening instead of forcing an hour. It's all about manageable steps, something assistants help with naturally.
And speaking of learning, one of my favorite metaphors is this. An assistant is like a lamp in a dark room. They help you see things clearly. Because truly, support brings light. It brings direction. It removes confusion.
That's such a beautiful metaphor, Luca. And it reminds me that assistants often bring fresh perspectives. They see things differently because they're not overwhelmed by everything. They may offer ideas or solutions you didn't notice before.
Exactly. And that's why collaboration becomes so powerful. When two minds work together, creativity increases. And here's a useful phrase for learners. Let's brainstorm. It means to think of ideas together. Assistants are often great brainstorming partners.
Yes, and brainstorming with someone lifts your energy. It's inspiring. English learners can also use brainstorming as a study technique, thinking of example sentences, new vocabulary, or creative ways to practice.
Another important thing assistants help with is organization. This is a huge issue for many people. When your space or schedule is unorganized, your mind becomes unorganized too. A simple, organized system can make you feel calm instantly.
Definitely. And English has many expressions related to organization that learners can use. For example, let's get everything in order. We need a clear plan. Let's break this down into steps. These phrases help guide someone through tasks smoothly and confidently.
And I think that's exactly why assistants are so valuable. They help transform complicated plans into simple actions. They take a mountain and turn it into small stones you can carry easily.
I absolutely love that image, turning a mountain into small stones. It's the perfect description of effective support. And that's why modern workplaces encourage teamwork. Companies know that people work better when they collaborate instead of struggling alone.
So true. And this brings us to another useful expression. We're better together. It sounds simple, but it carries deep meaning. When people share responsibilities, everything becomes more achievable.
Yes, and it creates a flow. Work flows, communication flows, ideas flow. And a smooth flow reduces stress. Many English speakers use the phrase, everything is running smoothly. This means things are happening without problems, and assistants often make that possible.
Let's also talk about leadership for a moment. When you work with an assistant, you naturally become a leader, even if you don't have a manager's title. You learn to give instructions kindly, to listen, to support, and to guide. These are leadership skills.
And they're incredibly important. Leadership isn't about power. It's about communication and empathy. It's about helping people feel confident and capable. A good leader lifts others up instead of pushing them down.
And that's why assistants thrive on the good leadership. When someone encourages them, respects them, and trusts them, they grow quickly. And their growth helps the whole team succeed.
Exactly, Luca. And I think our listeners can learn so much from this. Whether in English learning, work, or daily life, asking for help and offering help are both signs of strength. They show maturity, awareness, and emotional intelligence.
And they show something even more important, that you understand the value of teamwork. Because no journey is meant to be walked alone. Whether your assistant a real person, a study partner, a routine, or even a tool, the support you receive makes progress possible. You know, Liana, the more we explore the idea of needing an assistant, the more I realize something important. Having help doesn't just change how you work, it changes how you feel about your work. When tasks are shared and responsibilities are clear, stress slowly disappears. And when stress leaves, creativity arrives. It's amazing how support can actually unlock a person's potential.
That's so true, Luca. Support creates space. Space for new ideas, space for rest, space for better decisions. And one of the most beautiful effects of having an assistant is that it helps you reconnect with your strengths. When you're not overwhelmed, you notice what you're good at. That's why assistants don't just help with tasks, they help you grow as a person.
Exactly. And this brings us to another natural expression learners can use. It helps me focus on what I do best. This phrase is perfect for explaining why an assistant is useful, because everyone has strengths, and when someone else handles smaller tasks, you have more time for the work that truly matters.
I love that. And here's another beautiful expression. It allows me to breathe. People often use this metaphor to describe the feeling of relief when pressure is removed. Having an assistant allows you to breathe, to slow down, to think clearly. It's not just about productivity, it's about well-being.
Yes, and well-being is essential for long-term success. If you want to work well, study well, or live well, you need balance. And assistants help create that balance. They help prevent burnout, that feeling of emotional and physical exhaustion.
And burnout is real. Many English learners feel it too. They study for long hours, push themselves too hard, and expect instant results. But learning, like working, needs a healthy rhythm. When you try to do everything at once, you exhaust yourself. But when you use support, tools, routines, partners, you learn with peace instead of pressure.
That's a wonderful point, Liana. And here's a useful phrase for learners talking about feeling tired or overworked. I've hit my limit. It means you cannot continue without help. And it's a powerful reminder that recognizing your limits is not weakness, it's wisdom.
Yes, and wise people ask for support before things get too difficult. They communicate early, clearly, and respectfully. For example, you can say,
I could use some help with this.
I'm having trouble keeping up.
Could we share this task? These are friendly, natural ways to ask for assistance.
I love those. And I want to talk about something deeper now, the emotional courage to ask for help. Many people struggle with this. They think asking for help makes them look weak, inexperienced, or slow. But in reality, asking for help shows maturity and confidence. It shows humility, the ability to admit that you're human.
Yes, and humility is a beautiful trait. It creates connection and trust. When you ask someone for help, you're actually giving them a chance to be part of your success. You're inviting them into your journey, and that's powerful.
And assistants appreciate that. They feel honored when someone trusts them enough to share responsibilities. It makes them feel capable and respected, and that creates a strong working relationship built on mutual support.
Exactly. Support always goes both ways. And it also builds communication skills. When you work with an assistant, you learn how to express tasks clearly, how to give feedback, how to listen, and how to adjust when plans change. These are not just work skills, they are life skills.
Speaking of feedback, here are some gentle and natural English phrases that can help learners communicate with kindness.
Let's try a different approach. Maybe we could adjust this a little.
This is great. Let's build on it.
These phrases make feedback sound positive and encouraging.
And positive communication builds confidence, both for the assistant and for the person giving instructions. You grow together. That's the beauty of teamwork. And teamwork is more than simply sharing tasks. It's sharing energy, ideas, and goals.
And that brings us to another valuable phrase. We're working toward the same goal. It reminds people that success is shared. When one person succeeds, the whole team succeeds.
I love that. And here's another expression learners can add to their vocabulary. Let's stay aligned. It means staying connected, staying clear, staying coordinated. Assistants help create alignment. They help everyone move in the same direction.
And direction gives purpose. When you know someone is helping you stay organized, you naturally become more motivated. You plan better. You dream bigger. You stop feeling lost.
You know, Luca, I think this is one of the most underrated benefits of having an assistant: confidence. When you feel supported, your confidence grows. You start believing you can achieve more. You start taking steps you were afraid to take before.
That's so true. And confidence is one of the most important skills for English learners. When learners feel supported by teachers, friends, tools, or routines, they speak more freely, make more mistakes, learn faster, and improve with joy instead of fear.
Joy is essential, and support brings joy. It brings comfort, it brings strength.
That's why needing an assistant is not a problem. It's a natural part of growth.
Exactly. And once people understand that support creates growth, they stop seeing help as something to be embarrassed about. Instead, they see it as something that helps them reach their highest potential.
And that's the message our listeners should take to heart. Support doesn't make you less capable. It helps you become more capable.
And once you truly feel that, everything changes. Your mindset shifts, your energy rises, and your progress becomes smoother, faster, and more enjoyable.
Luca, something I deeply appreciate about assistance and support in general is how they help us move through challenges with calmness. When you're alone, every problem feels bigger. A small mistake feels like a disaster. A busy day feels impossible. But when someone stands beside you, even the hardest tasks feel manageable. Support doesn't remove problems, but it changes how you experience them.
Exactly, Liana. And that's why people often say the phrase, shared problems feel lighter. It's not just a nice sentence, it's true. When you talk to someone, ask for help, or share your workload, stress decreases almost instantly. And this emotional relief is one of the greatest reasons people ask for assistance.
Definitely. And speaking of relief, there's another natural expression our listeners will find useful. It takes the edge off. This means something reduces your stress or anxiety. For example, having someone help me with my emails really takes the edge off. It's such a comforting phrase, and it expresses exactly how help feels.
I love that expression. And another one that fits well is, it eases the burden. A burden is something heavy, not physically, but mentally or emotionally. When you say something eases the burden, it means it reduces the difficulty of a situation. Assistants definitely ease the burden.
And they also bring something beautiful, perspective. When you're too close to a problem, it's hard to see the solution. But an assistant can look at the situation with fresh eyes. They might offer a simple idea that completely solves a problem you've been stressing about for hours.
Yes, that's why people say a fresh pair of eyes makes all the difference. It means someone new can see something you missed. And that's another value of having help, new viewpoints.
You know, Luca, many people who finally accept help say, "Why didn't I do this earlier?" Because they realize something surprising. It wasn't the tasks that were impossible. It was the loneliness of doing everything alone that made it feel impossible.
That's such a powerful thought, Liana, and it reminds me of another lovely expression. You don't have to carry it all. This is something people often need to hear, especially learners who try to work, study, manage family, and build their future all at once. Support doesn't remove responsibility, it simply shares it.
Exactly. And sharing responsibility is a sign of emotional intelligence. It shows you understand your limits and value your well-being. And assistants, interns, helpers, they are also growing when they help you. They're learning, they're gaining experience. It's a mutually beneficial relationship.
And I really want to emphasize that. Assistants are not just helpers, they're learners too. They benefit from guidance, feedback, and trust. When you let someone help, you're also helping them grow. It becomes a cycle of learning and improvement for both sides.
And that leads to stronger teamwork. Strong teamwork is built on 3 things. 1, clear communication. 2, trust and respect. 3, shared goals. When those 3 are present, the teamwork becomes natural, smooth, and even enjoyable.
Absolutely. And English learners can use expressions like these to strengthen teamwork. We're on the same page, meaning we understand each other. Let's coordinate our efforts. We can divide the workload. Let's make sure we're aligned on this. These phrases show cooperation and clarity.
And clarity is everything. Many problems in workplaces come from unclear expectations. Assistants are often very capable, but they need guidance. A good leader explains tasks simply and politely. Here are some natural phrases learners can use. Here's the plan for today. Let me break this down for you. This part is the top priority. Feel free to ask questions anytime.
These phrases help create an open environment where the assistant feels safe and confident, and that kind of environment increases productivity for everyone.
Definitely. And Luca, I want to mention one more important aspect of having an assistant: accountability.
When someone helps you, you naturally feel more responsible and more organized. You share plans, set deadlines, and follow schedules more carefully. It keeps you consistent.
Exactly. And consistency is the foundation of success, especially for English learners. Having someone to check in with, even if it's just a study partner, makes you more responsible and focused.
And even when things don't go perfectly, having support makes the journey smoother. You don't feel alone when you face challenges. You don't feel stuck. Instead, you feel guided.
That's why one of my favorite phrases is, "We'll figure it out together." It's calming, reassuring, and full of hope. It reminds you that you don't need all the answers immediately. You just need support as you find them.
And that is the true beauty of needing an assistant. It's not about weakness, it's about connection, communication, and shared strength.
And in the end, support doesn't just help you work better, it helps you live better. It creates more peace, more clarity, and more confidence in everything you do.
Luca, the more we've talked about assistance and support, the more I realize a powerful truth. Needing help is simply part of being human. Life becomes richer, easier, and more meaningful when we allow others to be part of our journey. And when we welcome support, whether from an assistant, a colleague, a friend, or even a simple learning routine, we begin to move with purpose instead of pressure.
That's beautifully said, Liana. And I think this brings us to one of the most important lessons in today's topic. Help creates momentum. Momentum means positive movement forward. When you stop trying to manage everything alone, progress becomes smoother. Your mind clears up. You start working with rhythm instead of rushing. And that rhythm makes everything feel possible.
Yes, and that's exactly why people in successful environments are never shy about asking for help. They see support as a natural part of growth. In English-speaking workplaces especially, teamwork isn't optional, it's essential. People use phrases like, "Let's support each other," "We're in this together," "Let's pool our strengths." These expressions show unity, cooperation, and a shared mission.
And that shared mission is what makes an assistant so valuable. The moment someone joins you, even for small tasks, your journey changes. Suddenly, you're not just working, you're building something together. And that feeling can transform stress into motivation.
It really can. And another thing assistants teach us is the importance of structure. When someone helps you plan your tasks, organize your schedule, or prepare your materials, you naturally learn more about time management yourself. You begin to prioritize better. You become more disciplined. You start seeing solutions before problems appear.
Exactly. An assistant can act like a mirror that helps you see your habits clearly. They show you where your strengths are and where you need more support. And that awareness creates real improvement. It's like upgrading your productivity, your emotional well-being, and your confidence all at the same time.
And here's something I want our listeners to remember. Support is not a sign of weakness. It's a strategy for success. Even the most talented people in the world have teams, helpers, guides, and mentors behind them. No one succeeds alone. And recognizing this can bring peace to your mind. You begin to understand that help is not only acceptable, it's wise.
I love that. And I think English learners can use this powerful phrase whenever they feel overwhelmed. I don't have to do everything by myself. Just saying these words brings calm and clarity. It reminds you that delegation, teamwork, and support are always available.
And speaking of learners, I truly hope they can take what we discussed today and apply it in their own lives. Whether they're asking a coworker for help, dividing study tasks with a friend, or using a tool to stay organized, I hope they feel empowered to ask for support whenever they need it. Because asking for help is not only practical, it's emotionally healthy.
Yes, and the beauty of it is that once you ask for help, you also become more willing to give help. Assistance becomes a two-way street. You grow, others grow, everyone becomes better together. And that's the heart of strong communication, strong teams, and strong learning.
Exactly. And when people feel supported, they discover something wonderful. Life flows more gently. Challenges feel softer. Goals feel closer. And every day feels more manageable. That's the true value of having help. It allows you to live with more clarity, more balance, and more confidence.
And that's the perfect way to end today's dialogue, with the message that support is strength, not weakness. Everyone needs help at some point, and everyone deserves it too. And I hope our listeners carry this message into their daily lives, their workplaces, and their English learning journeys.
Absolutely. And to all our wonderful listeners from English Fluent Zone, thank you for joining us today. If you enjoyed this episode, learned something new, or felt inspired, we'd truly appreciate it if you could like, share, subscribe, and leave us a warm comment. Your support helps our community grow, and it means so much to us.
Yes, your support keeps this journey moving forward. Thank you for listening, thank you for learning with us, and thank you for being part of this beautiful community.
Like I told you before, we just don't have the resources to hire you an assistant.
I understand that, but the fact is, we're understaffed.
The timing is just not right. The economy's bad, and it's too risky to take on new staff.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Here's an idea. What if we hire an intern? She would take some of the weight off my shoulders.
She?
Yeah, you know, a recent graduate. She could give me a hand with some of these projects, and we could keep our costs down.
That sounds reasonable. Let me see what I can do. Tony, I'd like to introduce you to your new assistant.
Okay, great. Let's meet her.
Hi, I'm Adam.
Oh, hi, I'm Tony.
Well, you know, Marco, I think that Tony was really surprised because he was kind of hoping to have a female intern.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what he was expecting. Maybe this guy is a little bit sexist. He thought that an intern should be a girl, but instead he
got Adam.
Exactly, and it looks like Adam is really big and really tall because he's got that deep voice.
Right. An intern, Marco, do you want to elaborate on that?
Working at a company with a very low salary or sometimes no salary at all, but what you're gaining is experience and you're learning a lot of things. Everyone who has been an intern or had an intern knows that sometimes they are not treated all that well. Sometimes they just serve coffee or they have to do paperwork.
Or like photocopying things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But some internships are really, really cool, and some are really good experiences for learning.
Yes, definitely. Actually, I know a friend of mine. She used to work as an intern in one of those really big companies, and she told me that she has gained so much experience doing that.
Yeah, I mean, even if you don't get paid, the experience that you get is really good. And that just opens doors for maybe getting another job. Or sometimes the interns get hired by the company to stay because they do such a good job.
Yeah, I think that's mostly the case, huh?
Yeah, that happened to me once. I started working as an intern, and after 3 months, I was hired by the company. So it does happen, believe me.
So you did a good job.
Yeah, of course. All right, folks, we're out of time today. I hope that you enjoyed our lesson, and we'll be back tomorrow with another really cool and really interesting lesson from EnglishPod. Don't forget to come to our website at englishpod.com, where you'll find some really great and interesting resources to help you learn and improve your English even more.
Yes, you should definitely do that. And Marco and I would love to receive your comments and suggestions that you can leave on our community forum. But for now, it's time for us to say bye.
The English Pod Audio Review. Listen to the meaning, then say the vocabulary word.
Money.
Resources.
Not enough people to do the job.
Understaffed.
It's not a good time now.
The timing is just not right.
Remove pressure or stress.
Weight off my shoulders.
Help.
Give me a hand.
It's okay.
That sounds reasonable.
Hire.
Recruit.
Working too much.
Overworked.
Not enough people to do the job.
Short-staffed.
Reduce spending.
Cut costs.
Having too many employees.
Overstaffed. Let's try that faster.
Working too much.
Overworked.
Remove pressure or stress.
Weight off my shoulders.
Having too many employees.
Overstaffed.
Reduce spending.
Cut costs.
Hire.
Recruit.
Money.
Resources.
It's okay.
That sounds reasonable.
Not enough people to do the job.
Understaffed.
Not enough people to do the job.
Short-staffed.
Help.
Give me a hand.
It's not a good time now.
The timing is just not right. Now say the word and hear it in a sentence. Resources.
We would like to use more resources to increase our sales.
Resources.
We don't have enough resources to start a new project.
Resources.
Intel has a lot of resources for research and development.
Understaffed.
Hospitals in poor regions of Africa are understaffed.
Understaffed.
I did overtime last week because the company is understaffed.
Understaffed.
The factory is producing less than usual because it's understaffed.
The timing is just not right. The timing is just not right.
The timing is just not right for us to have a baby.
The timing is just not right.
I want to buy a car, but the timing is just not right.
Weight off my shoulders.
Could you help me plan the party? That would really take some of the weight off my shoulders.
Weight off my shoulders.
Finishing that project was a big weight off my shoulders.
Weight off my shoulders.
Winning the lottery took a great weight off my shoulders.
Give me a hand.
Can you give me a hand with these boxes?
Give me a hand.
Neil, I'll need you to give me a hand with the sales report.
Give me a hand.
Here, let me give you a hand with your suitcase. Paying $30 for new shoes sounds reasonable. Does that sound reasonable to you? Your salary request doesn't sound reasonable.